أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. This is a topic on how Shaytaan deceives and tricks and makes people go astray. He is our enemy from very beginning. He became enemy of our parents, Adam alayhi salam, Hawa alayhi salam, and he kept his enmity in children of Adam alayhi salam into us also. So his one purpose, he has to go into Jahannam. So his one goal, one purpose, how to take children of Adam salam with him into Jahannam. So his utmost effort and try is to make a person goes into Jahannam by committing sins. And the gravest sin is kufr and shirk. So his effort is to put humanity, the children of Adam salam, into kufr and shirk. As we can see in every age and era, usually the non-believers are more in numbers than the believers. وَقَلِيلٌ مِّنْ عِبَادِيَ الشَّكُورُ وَمَا آمَنَ مَعَهُ إِلَّا قَلِيلٌ. Nevertheless, Shaytaan is our enemy, family enemy from the very beginning, and his effort is to make us go astray and go against the commands of Allah Ta'ala, go against the deen, which is the mean person going into Jahannam, because it's decreed for him, fixed for him to go in Jahannam forever. His utmost effort and try is to take us, the children of Adam alayhi salam, into Jahannam with him. And for that, he does not care for anything, right, wrong, in whatever way he can deceive, in whatever way he can trick, he goes to know, he has no limits in his deceiveness and trickery. So these are alert and warning for us that we can't see him. إِنَّهُ يَرَاكُمْ وَقَبِيلٌ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا تَرَوْنَهُمْ. We can't hear him, we can't see him, but he directly affects our heart. He puts thoughts into our hearts, and usually we pick up those thoughts, we follow those thoughts, and we commit what he wants us to do. And in doing so, we commit a sin and we go against the deen, we go against the command of Allah Ta'ala. And one act, second act, third act, it covers up the person and he completely loses his hope. So nevertheless, he's our enemy, alhamdulillah, every Muslim, he believes it. But when it comes to practice, we do not realize and we fall for his trick and we follow him and we fall in a wrong act, one act, second act, third act, and the person gets covered into sins. He becomes hopeless from salvation. He becomes hopeless, and then he also does not leave any limits. So, and a simple way of recognizing whenever any thought comes into heart, and it's a thought of sin, one should realize this thought is from Shaytaan. We can't stop the thought, but one should not act upon that thought. Inshallah ta'ala, we will stay safe, stay away from the sin, we will stay away from being misled by Shaytaan. And Shaytaan does not leave anyone, whether he's a prophet, whether he's a common person. He tries over everyone. Although, as mentioned before, there are three types of people. One, Shaytaan makes them commit sin, but then they repent, they make tawbah to Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala forgives them, and all the effort of Shaytaan goes to waste. Secondly, as Shaytaan said himself, that those people who like a ball in a child's hand, meaning he can manipulate and he can do with them whatever they want to do with them, meaning there is no limit, there is no barrier that these people are in complete control of Shaytaan. The third types of people are the prophets, the messengers of Allah Ta'ala, that Shaytaan has no effect upon them, and those who are on their footsteps. So people divide into these three categories. One, Shaytaan tricks them, deceives them, makes them commit sin, but after that, they open up, their hearts open up, they realize they have done wrong, and they make tawbah, and the guna is forgiven, and Shaytan's all effort goes to waste. Secondly, those people are like a ball in a child's hand, meaning whatever Shaytan puts the idea in their heart, they readily accept it, they follow it, and they, one after the other, they make their life of committing sins, going against the commands of Allah Ta'ala, being disobedient to Allah Ta'ala. The third type of people are the prophets, that Shaytan, he goes to them also, but Shaytan has no effect upon them. So amongst that, how he tries to harm us, one is from dini aspect and one is from worldly aspect. So here's a story of Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam, very famous Sabr Ayyub, the patience of Ayyub alayhi salam. So why was given inni masani Shaytaan binusbi mu'adhab, Quran Sharif, Shaytan has touched me with difficulty and with trouble. So how he troubled Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam. Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam बहुत खुशहाल पैगंबर थे. Prophets, the condition has been different. Some prophets, they pass their life in a state of poverty, most of the prophets. Some prophets, they have been a prophet with kingship, Hazrat Sulaiman alayhi salam, Hazrat Dawud alayhi salam. And some prophets, their conditions have been different. So the Ayyub alayhi salam, he had a very happy life in the beginning. So it's all test. People test, Allah Ta'ala tests in different ways. Same applies to us also. People have different type of life. Some people pass life in difficulty. Some pass their life in luxury, comfort, and everything according to the wish and desire. So it's not that the purpose is fulfilled. It's a test, how we react and how obedient we are to Allah Ta'ala in state of trouble and a state of happiness. So that Ayyub alayhi salam, he was a very well-off prophet. Allah had given him everything. He had a big family, he had a lot of wealth, he was a prophet, everything Allah Ta'ala had given to him, blessed him in this world. और मेहमान नवाजी से किसी वक्त सुस्ती न करते थे, and was very generous in hosting people and catering for people. और मुसाफिरों को ठहराया करते, the travelers who would come, he would arrange for their stay. और तिजारत और ज़राअत के मामलात भी करते थे. He had farmland, he had a business. Everything what a successful person is counted to be in this world, Allah has blessed him everything, and he was a prophet also. So it's an example for such a people. If usually people have a lot of wealth, lot of business, say, I don't have time for deen, na'udhu billah. So Allah make these people example that whatever they are, king, governing the country, ruling the country, whatever wealth, business, so Allah makes the prophets example for them, that nobody has chance to say, I was so busy in the world, I didn't have time for deen. और आपके चंद लड़के थे, he had few sons, और अयाल बकसरत थी, और he had a big family. और बई हमा इतनी इबादत किया करते थे कि आबिद उनसे कासिर व आजिज हो जाते थे, रह जाते थे. With all this commitment and duties, he was so much abid, he was so much ibadat making of Allah Ta'ala, that those people are completely free for ibadat, they could not match him. It's tawfiq from Allah Ta'ala that with everything Allah Ta'ala gives them tawfiq, Allah Ta'ala gives them courage that they carry out ibadat. Iblis को उन इबादतों पर आपसे हसद हुआ. So Iblis, he could not see the state of Ayyub alayhi salam, well from worldly aspect and from deeni aspect also, making so much ibadat. So Iblis could not bear it. He became jealous regarding Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam. और इब्लीस के ज़माने में आसमान पर चढ़ने की बंदिश न थी. And up till that time, he was not stopped from going into the skies. Allah had given the Shaytaan such a power that they can reach into the skies also. So up till that time, he could go into the skies and listen to the angels. As we live on the earth, the angels, they live in the skies. So he would go into the skies and he would listen to the angels' conversation. और ये फरिश्तों से बातें कर लिया करता था. And Iblis, he would go into the skies and speak with Hazrat Ayyub with the angels. जो अय्यूब अलैहिस्सलाम की तारीफ़ें किया करते थे कि बहुत ही इबादत और सखावत और मेहमान नवाजी करते हैं. So the angels, they talk among themselves and they would praise Hazrat Ayyub अलैहिस्सलाम for his ibadat, for his generosity, and his hosting, the host and catering and giving service to the travelers and the guests. And Shaytaan, he could not bear all these praises of Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam. So he said to the angels, Iblis ने कहा कि अय्यूब अगर गरीब होते तो अल्लाह की इबादत न करते. So he said to the angels, this is all because well off, he has no worry upon him, he has no worry of earning. So because of that, so it's not a big matter. If he was a poor person, then he would have been so much engrossed in earning a living that he would not make so much ibadat. बस अल्लाह ताला मुझको उनके माल पर मुसल्लत कर दे तो ज़रूर इबादत छोड़ बैठेंगे. So he said, Allah gives me power over his wealth and I destroy his wealth, then we will see that he will leave all his ibadat, meaning he will have the worries of earning a living for himself and his family. So this is because the Lord is a wealthy person, he has no worry of earning, that is why he is doing so much ibadat. If his wealth was taken away from him, if he became poor, then he would not make so much ibadat. बस अल्लाह ताला ने इब्लीस को इजाज़त दी कि मैंने तुझको अय्यूब के माल पर मुसल्लत कर दिया. So this world is a place of test. Allah tests in different way. Sometimes by giving us a comfortable life, sometimes by giving us a wealth, sometimes the different by hardship, illness, and different matters. So whatever condition we live in this world is a test. How we react, how we behave, and how we observe that occasion, that is our test. So Allah gives Iblis permission that you can do what you want to do with the wealth of Ayyub alayhi salam, and you can see how he reacts. Is there any difference comes in him, or he stays in ibadat as before. तब इब्लीस ने अपने लश्कर को जमा किया. So Iblis, he gathered all his army of shayateen और अय्यूब अलैहिस्सलाम के खेतों और जानवरों की तरफ रवाना हुआ. And he went to the farmland of Hazrat Ayyub अलैहिस्सलाम and the animals of Hazrat Ayyub अलैहिस्सलाम. Hazrat Ayyub अलैहिस्सलाम को कुछ भी खबर न थी. अचानक ज़मीन के नीचे से एक बड़ी मिक़दार में आग भड़की और सारी खेती को जला गई. Hazrat Ayyub अलैहिस्सलाम did not know what was happening. He was not informed. Suddenly, the fire spread in his farmland and all the farming was destroyed, burnt away. और फिर जानवरों पर चली और आखिर तक सबको खाकस्तर कर गई. And after that, the fire spread into the animals and it destroyed everything. The farmland and the farming and the animals, they were all burnt away. उसके बाद इब्लीस हज़रत अय्यूब अलैहिस्सलाम के बारे में, he was at his home, he did not know what was happening in his farmland and to his animals. उसके बाद इब्लीस हज़रत अय्यूब अलैहिस्सलाम के पास आया जो मेहराब में खड़े हुए नमाज पढ़ रहे थे. Then Iblis came to Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam, was performing salat in his ibadat khana in his home. और उनसे कहा कि जिसकी तू नमाज पढ़ रहे हो उसने तुम्हारी सारी खेती को जला दिया और सारे जानवरों को हलाक कर दिया. He said in such a way which incites the person, it makes him angry, that the one whose ibadat you are making, meaning Allah Ta'ala, he has destroyed your farmland, he has destroyed your farming, and he has destroyed all your animals. Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam ne farmaya, now this is how he reacted. So this is a lesson for us, that how do we react when any harm comes our way, how do we react, how do we behave. Hazrat Yaqub alayhi salam, and he was informed that the wolf has eaten up Yusuf alayhi salam for akalahu dhib. Father, the wolf has eaten up Yusuf alayhi salam. So Yaqub alayhi salam did not become angry. He did not start to shout. He did not start to beat them up. What did he say? For sablun jabil. My duty is to bear it patiently. So the test is on the instinct occasion, how we react on the instinct. When we hear some news of harm, how do we react? We start to shout, we start to complain, we start to go out of control. That person has lost the test. And if we bear it patiently, we don't behave in a wrong way, we have passed our test. The test is an instant matter. So here, in Quran Sharif, Yaqub alayhi salam laments his condition for sablun jameel. When he heard that Yusuf has been killed, eaten up, how he reacted, Amri for sablun jameel. My duty is to bear it patiently. Same Ayyub alayhi salam, when he heard that all his farmland has been destroyed and his animals have been destroyed, how did he react? Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam ने फरमाया, शुक्र है अल्लाह का जिसने अता भी किया और ले भी लिया जो कुछ अता फरमाया था. So instead of complaining, instead of crying, instead of doing any of these acts, he said, all the praise for Allah Ta'ala who gave all this wealth and who took it away also. He passed this test. It was a test of his patience, sabr, and he passed it. إِذَا أَصَابَتْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. He also taught the same lesson in Quran Sharif. When any musibat comes our way, then our duty is to bear it patiently and turn towards Allah Ta'ala. But Iblis namurad wapas aaya. So Iblis, he wanted the Ayyub Islam to become impatient and cry, scream, and go out of control. But that did not happen. Instead, he bared it patiently and he took it into stride by tawfiq of Allah Ta'ala. So nevertheless, this is how Shaytaan tricks us. This is how Shaytaan tries to deceive us, to do us wrong act on the occasion. If we fall for it, we do the wrong act, we have lost and Shaytaan has won. And if it happens the other way, that we don't follow the Shaytaan, we don't fall for his trick, we don't commit the sin, we control ourselves, alhamdulillah, we have won and Shaytaan has been defeated. So on this occasion, his trick did not work. His effort did not work. So he failed. Ayyub alayhi salam passed his test of sabr. फिर आसमान पर चढ़ा तो फरिश्तों ने उससे कहा, अय्यूब का सब्र कैसा पाया? So another time he went to the skies and the angels asked him, how did you find the patience of Ayyub alayhi salam? Meaning all his wealth has been destroyed, but you see how he reacted, how he behaved. There was no word of complaint. There was no any reaction of impatience or anything doing wrong. उसने कहा उनको अपने रब पर ही एतमाद रहा. So he had to confess, he had to accept that his trust was not on his wealth, where will I eat from? His trust was on Allah Ta'ala. Allah was feeding me before, even after taking all my wealth. Allah is my feeder, Allah is my provider. So that's the lesson. So we can learn from here that person can become patient and he can bear what comes his way when he has tawakkul upon Allah Ta'ala, when he has support, when he has i'timad upon Allah Ta'ala, that Allah Ta'ala is sufficient for me. So he does not rely on the wealth, he does not rely on his money, he does not rely on his business. So that is the essence, that he managed to control himself, he managed to be patient because of i'timad upon hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. बस अगर मुझको अल्लाह ताला उनके औलाद पर मुसल्लत कर दे तो हरगिज़ सब्र न कर सकेंगे. So Shaytaan said to the angels, that was wealth. So wealth is secondary and life is first. So if Allah Ta'ala gives me power over his children and I destroy his children, then he will not be able to bear it. Usually a person has an accident, his car is destroyed, does he cry? But if his son dies, young son dies, then he cries, because children are more near than wealth. So Shaytaan said, if Allah gives control over his children and destroy his children, then I'm sure he will not be able to bear it, he will become impatient. तब अल्लाह ताला ने फरमाया कि तुझको अय्यूब के औलाद पर भी मुसल्लत किया. Allah to give him permission, I give you control over his children, do what you want to do with his children and see how Ayyub al-Islam reacts. Allah knew from beginning everything, but it's a lesson for us and to raise the status of Hazrat Ayyub al-Islam. बस इब्लीस रवाना हुआ और उनकी औलाद और मुतालिकीन पर मकान को हिलाया कि मकान ऊपर आकर गिरा और वो सब मर गए. So Allah gave him control. So Shaytaan can't do anything himself. Only when Allah gives him permission, then he can. Otherwise, he cannot do anything by himself. So Allah gave him permission over the family of Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam. He came and he shook the house of Ayyub alayhi salam like an earthquake occurs and the whole house comes down. So the whole house came down upon the family and the whole family was destroyed under the house. And all of them passed away. And Ayyub alayhi salam was not there, he did not know. बस इब्लीस हज़रत अय्यूब अलैहिस्सलाम के पास आया जो अपनी मेहराब में खड़े नमाज पढ़ रहे थे. Shaytaan came to Ayyub अलैहिस्सलाम, was in his ibadat khana making ibadat. So we can see how much attachment he had with namaz and ibadat. It's a great ni'mat of Allah Ta'ala. A person's heart becomes attached with the salat. It's the nearest way of coming near to Allah Ta'ala by salat. So he was engaged in performing salat in his ibadat khana. बच्चों की दाया की शक्ल बनाकर आया. And he came in the shape of a maid, the maid who looks after the children. So he came in the form of a woman who looked after the children of Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam, crying and wailing. और सामने खड़े होकर नूहा करने और शोर मचाने लगा. So he came in a woman's form, the woman who was looking after the children of Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam, and he started to cry and beat his cheeks like a person does in a state of calamity. And he came in the form of a woman, caretaking woman. बस हज़रत अय्यूब अलैहिस्सलाम ने फरमाया क्या किस्सा है. What's the matter? Why are you doing this? दाइया ने कहा मकान आपके औलाद पर गिर पड़ा है और सब हलाक हो गए. And so he said that the house has fallen upon your family and all your family has died. बस हज़रत अय्यूब अलैहिस्सलाम ने फरमाया शुक्र है अल्लाह का, उसी ने दिए थे उसी ने ले लिए. So here again Ayyub अलैहिस्सलाम said all the praise are for Allah Ta'ala. He had given the family, He has taken it away. Now we can see his attachment of heart. Only a person whose heart is attached with Allah Ta'ala more than makhluk can react in such a way. If we hear such a news, what would be our condition? What would be our state? We would go out of control, we would become mad. So nevertheless, that is because the prophets don't take anything to be of their own. They take everything with the belonging of Allah Ta'ala and they trust in our hand. So here again, Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam said, all the praise for Allah Ta'ala who had given me my children and family and who has taken it away, it belongs to Allah Ta'ala. Here again, he stayed steadfast, patient, and Shaytaan failed, and Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam passed in his test also. और उसी ने फिर इब्लीस बच्चों की एक खादिम की सूरत में आया और कहने लगा ज़रा अपने बच्चों की हालत तो देख लो, और खून बह रहा है और पेट फट गए हैं और आंतें निकल पड़ी है. Then he came again in the form of a servant of the family and he came to Ayyub alayhi salam and said, all your family has passed away, they died. As a last look, come and at least see their face. Somebody's face has been smashed. Somebody's stomach has been opened up. So at least as a last look, come and see their. Meaning he was trying that the Jews may be affected and he may cry and he may do something inappropriate. So he came telling Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam that if you want, you can take a last look at your family members, that the state they are in. बार बार यही कहता नूहा करता रहा. He kept saying this over and over again and he kept crying as a well-wisher. यहाँ तक के हजरत के दिल पर रिक्कत तारी हो गई. And because of his such a saying over and over again, Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam did not know he was Shaytaan, he was tricking. But nevertheless, human is a human. As I mentioned, that a person has more attachment with his children than the wealth. Wealth is not so much. But when a person is befallen with a calamity with his family members, the wife passes away, children passes away, then it is more likely he will be affected. So that Ayyub alayhi salam's heart became soft. और रोने लगे and he started to cry. So crying is not a besabri, it's not impatience. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Hazrat Ibrahim radiallahu anhu passed away, he also cried. So Rasulullah never cried on the loss of wealth, but when the son was passed away, then Rasulullah also cried, because one's children are more near to him than wealth. और कहने लगे कि एक काश तू पैदा ही नहीं हुआ होता. And out of sorrow he said, it would have been better you were not born, that you would not need to see such a day. बस इब्लीस इस कलीमे पर खुश हुआ. So by you were saying these words, Shaytaan became pleased that at least I got something out of him. और उसके बाद अय्यूब अलैहिस्सलाम ने उससे भी इस्तिग़फ़ार किया और सब्र किया. After saying that, he made tawbah to Allah Ta'ala and he bared it patiently. और सब्र पर अजर चाहा, and he asked Allah Ta'ala for reward on bearing it patiently. फिर इब्लीस आसमान पर चढ़ा और फरिश्तों ने उससे पूछा कि अय्यूब अलैहिस्सलाम को तूने कैसा पाया? Then he went in the skies and he met the angels. The angels asked him, how did you find Hazrat Ayyub अलैहिस्सलाम in the calamity he had to experience? उसने जवाब दिया कि वो रब के काबिल वसूक शख्स हैं. So once again he said, he had his trust in Allah Ta'ala. He did not do anything which I want him to do, meaning become impatient and utter out inappropriate words and make complaints or anything like that. He did not do any of these things. उसके बाद इब्लीस ने कहा, अगर अल्लाह ताला मुझको उनके जिस्म पर इख्तियार दे दे तो वो उस पर सब्र न कर सकें. Then he said to the angels, if Allah gives me control over his body, so these children, they are near to a person, but the body is his own self. So Allah gives me control over his body, and I make him fall ill, and I'm sure he will not be able to bear it, and he will become impatient, बेसब्र. अल्लाह ताला ने फरमाया, मैंने तुझको उनके जिस्म पर मुसल्लत किया. So Allah gave permission, I give you control over his body. You can do what you want to do with his body also. बस इब्लीस लौट कर हज़रत अय्यूब अलैहिस्सलाम के पास आया तो उनको नमाज में खड़ा पाया. So once again Iblis came to Hazrat Ayyub अलैहिस्सलाम. He was engaged in performing salat. So here we can learn a lesson: when you inflict any trouble, then the best way and the easiest way of consolation is to turn towards Allah Ta'ala by performing salat. It was a habit of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, إِذَا حَزَبَهُ أَمْرٌ بَعْدَ لَيْلَ الصَّلَاةِ. When anything occurred to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, made him anxious, which made him uncomfortable, uneasy, he would quickly turn towards salat. Because salat is a direct connection between us and Allah Ta'ala. So Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam was engaged in, we usually do the opposite, we run away. When some calamity befalls us, we become so much engrossed in that calamity, even our further salat goes. So we do the opposite. Instead, whenever any good condition occurs or any troublesome matter occurs, if we turn towards Allah Ta'ala by salat, inshallah Ta'ala, it will console our heart, it will encourage us, make it easy for us to bear that occasion. So nevertheless, this time also, he found Ayyub alayhi salam engaged in performing salat. तो उनको नमाज में खड़ा पाया, बस उनके पास आकर उनकी नाक में फूंक मारी कि उससे उनका दिमाग और पाँव और दरमियानी सारा बदन मुश्तइल हो गया. So he came to Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam and he blowed into his nose, and Shaytaan is made of fire, meaning his blow was so hot like a fire that the whole body of Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam became like a fire, meaning it became overheated and the whole body started to boil with heat. And when a person has an itch and a person has a heat in the body, he wants to scratch. And he scratches so much the blood usually comes out. So the body became so hot and the itch became so strong. To ease this itch, he took a stone and started to scratch his body with the stone. बस पत्थर से अपने बदन को खुजाया यहाँ तक कि आपका गोश्त कट गया. And he started to scratch his body with the stone. And as Allah says, this person was an eczema, how much he wants to scratch his body. So while he's scratching, he feels good. But as soon as he finishes scratching, now the burning sensation is unbearable. Allahumma fizna. So Ayyub alayhi salam, due to the heat in the body, he scratched his body with a stone to the extent that all the skin peeled off and the meat, flesh, it started to show up. And the meat started to cut off from his body. और नाखून गिर गए, and his nails they came off, और चर्बी पिघल गई, so body became so hot that the flesh and the fat of the body started to melt, और हिजियाँ जाहिर हो गई, and started to become very, very irritated, out of control, और बू आने लगी. After some time, the body became infected and the smell started to come out of the body. So we can see the ni'mas of Allah Ta'ala upon us, that how Allah has kept. We can't bear these type of things. Allah Ta'ala makes the angels, the prophets, the ultimate example of everything. So this is the ultimate example of bearing trouble, whether in our wealth, whether in our family, children, or even in our own self. So by learning these stories, it gives us a tawfiq to bear what comes our way with patience and sabr. So to the extent his body became infected, the smell started to come from his body, and even insects started to fall into his flesh. और बदन में कीड़े पड़ गए, and the flesh became rotten, infested, and the insects, क्या बोलते हैं इंग्लिश में उसको, the bacteria, it came in his body. और गोश्त और खाल के दरमियान निहायत दर्द लाहिक हुआ, and between his flesh and between his skin he experienced very, very severe pain. Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam की 3 बीवियाँ थी. At that time, Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam, he had 3 wives. जब उन्होंने आपकी हालत देखी, तो 2 बीवियाँ तो चली गई. So when out of the 3, when they saw this condition of Ayyub alayhi salam, 2 of the wives, they separated themselves from Ayyub alayhi salam. So when a friend is recognized in this time of need, and somebody falls in a need, and then somebody stays with him, stays loyal, stays sincere, that is a friend. And in a good days, people gather around, but when a person falls in a bad days, they separate themselves, disattach themselves, so that is a test of friendship also. So out of the 3 wives, 2 separated themselves from Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam, and 1 stayed. और आपकी एक बीवी रहमत आपके पास रह गई. After 3, 1 stayed, whose name was Rahmat. She stayed and she made khidmat of Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam. But Iblis is basti. So nowadays we see the parents that become old, usually the children, they start to become disattached, and they put the parents in a care home, old people's home. So this is all our test. Allah save us from such a condition. Allah give us tawfiq to make khidmat of our parents and not desert them. So that is also part of it, that the parents become old, they need help, they need support. The children, the family members, they put him in a care home, old people's home. So that is abuse and ni'mat of the parents. His children are to look after them, not to give in other people's hands, but spare themselves and take out their time and make their khidmat. So out of the 3, 2 separated themselves and 1 stayed with Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam. बस इब्लीस उस बस्ती वालों के पास आया. So up till that time, Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam was staying in the locality. But Shaytaan could not even bear that. So he came to the local people and he put in their heart this thought, the bad thought. जिसमें हज़रत अय्यूब अलैहिस्सलाम रहते थे और उनसे कहा कि अय्यूब को अपने वहाँ से निकाल दो वरना उनकी बीमारी तुम्हारे बदनों में भी आ लगेगी. He put the thought in the mind, take Ayyub अलैहिस्सलाम out of your locality, otherwise if you leave him, then his illness will spread into you and you will all have the same illness. people call virus, that one catches it, it passes on to the others. चुनांचे अहले बस्ती ने बीवी रहमत से कहा कि अय्यूब को हमारे यहाँ से निकाल ले जाएं, वरना हम उनको कत्ल कर देंगे. So the people, local people, they came to the wife of Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam and said to her, take your husband out of our locality. If you won't do it, we will kill him. We don't want his illness to come spread into us. बस बीवी रहमत उनको कंधों पर लाद कर एक वीराने में ले आई. So the wife Rahmat, she lifted the Ayyub alayhi salam on her shoulders. And she took out of the locality, outside the town, outside this village, in a desolate place. और आपके नीचे मिट्टी का फर्श कर दिया. And she gathered the dust and soil and made Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam lie and sleep on there. There was no bedding, anything. क्या पलटे ही सो गए. He was so weak, so tired, that even on the soil and dust, he went to sleep straight away. Al-Gharaz, 7 बरस तक कीड़े आपका गोश्त खाते रहे. This condition stayed for 7 years. For 7 years, the worms and insects, they ate the flesh of Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam. और सिवाय बीवी रहमत के कोई उनके पास भी न फटकता. Except for the wife, nobody would come near to him. और बीवी का ये हाल था कि बस्ती वालों के पास जाकर उनके कारोबार किया करती और जो कुछ रोटी खाना उनसे मिला करता वो हज़रत अय्यूब अलैहिस्सलाम के पास लेकर आया करती. The wife Rahmat, during daytime, she would go in the locality, work for the local people, and whatever they give in the food, she would bring it and give it to Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam and feed Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam. So Iblis even could not bear this. फिर इब्लीस बस्ती वालों के पास आया और उनसे कहा कि रहमत को अपने पास मत आने दो, वरना उनके शोहर की बीमारी तुमको भी आ लगेगी. So he came to local people and put in their mind and heart that don't allow Rahmat, the wife of you, let's not go into your locality, otherwise through her his illness will come into you also. बस बस्ती वालों ने कहा कि ए रहमत, अपने शोहर को लेकर हमसे दूर चली जाओ, वरना हम तुमको पत्थरों से मार देंगे. So local people said to Rahmat that take your husband far away from our locality. If you won't do it, we will stone you to death, both of you. चुनांचे बीवी रहमत हज़रत अय्यूब अलैहिस्सलाम को अपने कंधों पर लाद कर बस्ती से दूर चली गई, ले गई. So the woman, she took Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam on her shoulder and went far away from the locality. और आपके नीचे रेती का फर्श बिछाया, and so far away, sort of a desert, that she spread the sand under and made Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam rest upon it. और आपको उस पर रख दिया और सर के नीचे तकिए की जगह पत्थर रख दिया. And for a pillow she put a stone under the head of Ayyub alayhi salam. और कहने लगी कि अय्यूब, अल्लाह से अपनी सेहत की दुआ मांगो. And she said to Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam, make dua to Allah Ta'ala for your health. अय्यूब अलैहिस्सलाम ने फरमाया कि ए रहमत, अल्लाह ही ने तो बरसों हम पर अपनी नेमतों में रखा, क्या आप इसकी दी हुई ने मुसीबत पर सब्र न करें. Ayyub अलैहिस्सलाम said, Allah kept us in His ne'mats all through our life. Now some trouble has come our way. Can we not bear it patiently? Meaning, I feel shy to make dua to Allah Ta'ala. बस बीवी रहमत बस्ती में जाती और दरवाज़ों पर खड़ी होती, बस लोग धुटकारते. So now she could not work in the locality, but still they need to feed themselves. So she would go in the locality and go stand at the people's door. But people would shrug her away and threat her. और कहते कि हमसे अलग रहे, कि तेरे खाविन की बीमारी हमको न लग जावे. So they would shrug her away and threat her and say, go away from us, your husband's illness may not come into us. Leave it till here. Allah Ta'ala save us from calamities and tests. Allah Ta'ala keep us in afiyat, salamat, and give us tawfiq to value His ni'mats. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallah wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallah wa bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.